Let's work on Happy Haunting on our Pumpkins and Potions quilt. Let's work on Happy Haunting on page 11. I have the background fabric that's fused with interfacing on the back and the batting. That's all we need for this block. Let's get started. I will go to Embroidery and to my USB. I did not use software to combine this file, so I will open the quilting bundle. And this design uses Halloween 11. And I need the 4x6 horizontal. When you have two 4x6s or two of any size, and in the machine you can't see the rest of the name, the horizontal will come first. I will hit set. Then I will go to add. I will go back to my USB and open the embroidery files folder. And I will find the Happy Haunting and hit set. Now I will hit embroidery, and now they are combined and I can move them and they will stay together. I am using my 7x12 hoop, and so I am going to take this design and rotate it. I will go to layout, rotate, and 90 degrees to the right, and now I can move it up. I will move it all the way to the top and to the left. Again, I have a 7x12, and in my machine, I do not have a 7x12 inch hoop. I only have an 8x12, so I move it over to the left to make sure that my design will fit because I'm using a smaller hoop. And then I will hit OK. Once I'm done moving my design, I will go to this plus minus needle, and that will get me back to where I can see the steps that are stitching out. And if I need to skip or go back, then I'm all set. Let's stitch this block. Because I didn't use software, I do have to skip some steps. Of course, this is totally optional and you can run all of the steps. The second step that we're on is the tack down of the batting, and I cut my batting to size, and so that is a step that I don't need. So I will press this down arrow and skip that step. Then the next step is the placement for the fabric, and that is just 1/4 of an inch beyond the batting, and our fabric is much larger, and so this step is not needed either. I will hit the down arrow to skip. Now the fourth step is the tack down of the fabric, and I do need that. I have the block flipped to the back side. Normally when I have background quilting that goes into the seam allowance like this one does, it's easier to cut from the front. However, this is black fabric with black quilting, and so it's really hard to see. So on the back, these straight lines are in the seam allowance. So I need to adjust so that they are an equal amount apart. Now I can use a seam guide. I can move it to my 1/8 of an inch because the stitching that's inside the seam allowance will be an 1/8 of an inch from the ruler. So if I want to measure, you don't have to, you can just eyeball it, that would be fine. But if you want, you can make sure that things are even and go all around and see that that black stitching is an 1/8 of an inch. Now if you don't want to do that, another way is to put it back up to the 1/4 of an inch, which when we have quilting that does not go into the seam allowance, we always cut a 1/4 of an inch away from the batting. You can check, you can see where the batting ends, even though there's still stabilizer into the seam allowance. You can see that I'm a 1/4 of an inch from the batting. And if you're not quite perfect, you can move it a little bit, but you can see that this lines up, and so that I know that I'm pretty straight.